Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call to find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody also watching our Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, and Wow Cable TV affiliates in select markets, Hotel TV, and everybody paying attention on Chicago Food Favorites. Folks, make sure to check that out on Facebook, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And right from the top, we are here with our baseball insider. And man, this guy's a very interesting guy, and you probably have seen him. If you've seen any baseball games over a 20-year stretch, you have seen the great Darrell Evans, who is a World Series champion, a 20-year veteran, an all-star third baseman, probably should be considered for the Baseball Hall of Fame over in Cooperstown. Darrell, welcome into the show.
Thank you, sir. I'm back again.
That's right, you're back.
Great night tonight.
It's a great day, a great night, and we woke up today, so guess what? It's always a great day. Hey, listen, we're at a very interesting juncture in baseball, football, basketball, hockey. I know you're a big basketball fan too, and also from politics. What are your thoughts on how politics specifically shapes professional sports?
Well, it does a lot because basically we have no control as a player. We had no control. We had to go along with what the higher ups decided we had to do. I mean, look at this. Just the silliness of changing the rules now, and they're going to change this and change it. And, for something that's as American as you can be and has been doing pretty good for the last 150 years. And now we have to change. And that, to me, goes back to politics. Politics is, what's their jobs? Their job is to make sure that we are following the rules, and if there's a rule that we don't like, then okay, we could change it. But they're all into, basically they're all into, they go to work and they got to change things all the time. There's always something new. And I think watching President Trump and he's trying to get it back to the way it's supposed to be, back to the way it's worked. We have the best country ever. We have everything the best ever. Why would we want to change that? So, I just look at it as like, what in the world? Aren't we supposed to be positive? We're supposed to be patriots. We're supposed to hope that our president and the people that he hires to fix everything or to put it back the way it's supposed to be. Are we supposed to be hoping that they do that? But there's a knee-jerk reaction on the other side automatically. No. We're just thinking about it like they come out and go, he's going to tell all lies. What do you mean? How do you know? Fortune teller? What the heck? You got somebody else's mind. Think about something else. And then when the beautiful speech that was given, one of the great thing about President Trump is he's always praising his people. He's always, when somebody does a good job, he says thank you all the time. He listens, he's polite, and he tries to fix problems. But the other side, I say the other side, there's not very many of them. They're just loud. The other side thinks that everything because you're on the other side, that everything's wrong. There's something wrong. I mean, the reason why this country is so great is because we have all these great people that overcome no matter what happens. They have the spirit of doing that. They're positive. They're upbeat. They ask for help from others, and they know they're going to get it. And yet we have other people that are just can't ever give anybody else credit, I guess. And so, baseball is the same to me. One of the things President Trump was talking about is, we got to get Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, and I'm thinking, what changed? I don't get that. I don't believe that. But whatever. I didn't believe. I guess there was a lot of people that thought that all the time, and I'm going, okay, what happened differently? And so, anyway, things that I look at things as something positive. We have to adjust to them, but we need somebody on our side. He's the perfect guy. He tells it like it is. He lets us know how he's doing it, and yet there's people on the other side that it just never makes sense to me.
So think about what happens on the day-to-day in the life of a big league player. Now, you had 20 years as a player, 20 years as a coach, maybe more than that. But the point is, you've had to deal with the political side of it as a player and a manager, right, and or coach. You've had to deal with that for the better part of your life. How has politics shaped the game from when you played all the way, in your opinion, to today?
Well, as a player, you have to go along with the rules, of course, and that's the way it's supposed to be. You may not sometimes agree with them, but I learned. I had to when I was growing up. My family was all involved in baseball anyway, and everybody loved it and everything else. And my dad, it was great. My dad was like, hey, if you want to do this, you need to know all the rules. So I had to memorize the rule book and all the things. So I was prepared. And then when I got into professional baseball, if you're good enough, physically, I guess, more than anything, then you got a chance to get up to the top. The hard part about that is that there's less and less spots. When you sign, there's hundreds of spots, 1,000 spots maybe. But as you move up the line, there's less and less. And then when you get to the big leagues, it's only 25 spots on each team, and half of them are pitchers. So if you're not a pitcher, I was a third baseman most of the time. So usually you only have one third baseman on a team. So there's only 30 people. When I started out, there was less team. So only 30 people that can get to the top. But when you get to the top, they're looking for somebody else to replace you or to improve on you. So it's politics certainly come into play because there's not a rule for that. You got to do your best and hope that enough people are going to go, okay, we're going to give them a uniform again next year. And I was fortunate enough for that to happen a long time. And then,
so if you're not playing ball, then you're not playing ball. So to get along, you go along. Fair or unfair to say?
Well, somewhat. The higher you go, I learned after a while that the more I had more experience than than some of my coaches or some of the people. Certainly he's a lot more experienced than the people that were making the decisions on who was playing, who was not, whether you're playing or whether you're doing as good as you should be doing. I remember one of the first things, Eddie Matthews, who was my idol, and my coach and manager when I went to the Braves, and I became a really close friend. He goes, once when I had my first, big year in '73, and then he said, "Hey, man, you know what you did? You just put yourself at a level so that if you don't do that again, they're not going to be real happy with you." And I thought, what? Yeah, it's just stats. It's not anything else. It's how you play the game. It's what you do in certain situations, all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't been there, like they have, of course, I mean, I played with Hank for 5 years, Hank Aaron. If the people that are making your decisions have never done it, how could they tell you how to do it? So, that's a frustrating thing because you only want to care, you only have to please your teammates, and that's basically it. The coach.
So, when we come back from break, I want to talk about exactly that with Hank Aaron. When we come back from break, it's going to be just a few minutes, folks. Listen, lots more to come here on the Sports Circus with great Darrell Evans, 414 home runs in Big League Baseball. Something tells me that's quite a few, and playing 5 years with Hank Aaron plus all the other greats. We got lots of great stories coming up right here on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere. Back in a few.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call
714-948-0100, 714-948-0100, again, 714-948-0100.
or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, a big welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our television and radio affiliates, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, the San Francisco 49ers, and, of course, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in to everybody else up and down the West Coast and throughout the Heartland on all of our network affiliates and independents, plus our friends down in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD. That's home of the Atlanta Braves. Nice round of applause for them, of course. Seeing that we have one of theirs on today's show. And a big welcome into our friends over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. And thanks for waking up with us, plus everybody else across the country listening in on all the other stations. Everybody streaming on Pick Your Favorite Streamer site. Back here with the great Darrell Evans. And Darrell Evans, in case you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, has a World Series title with the 1984 Detroit Tigers. Probably should be given serious consideration for the Hall of Fame because he's one of those guys, very durable, didn't spend any time on the injured list. That's what they call it nowadays, but back then it was the disabled list. And one hell of a guy. Gerald, thanks for coming back.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, listen, man, in the last segment, I was kind of poking around the idea, hey, if you don't play ball, you ain't going to play ball, if you know what I mean. Right? So
Yeah, you know, in so many ways, and unfortunately, you don't really know that's a big part of it. And so...
And baseball's loaded with politics. It really is.
Oh, well, yeah, but you don't know that until you hope you're good enough to overcome that. But if you're not good enough to overcome, then they just keep, reloading. And maybe perfect examples after I finished playing and I wanted to be a big league manager. Had a lot of people say that's what I needed to do or whatever, if I get a chance to do. Never got offered that, but I did manage in the minor leagues and I managed in, whatever, and I coached and all that kind of stuff. And real successfully, according to the players. But that wasn't the case to some of the front office because they wanted my expertise. Of course they did. I never, I don't know how many jobs I had coaching and stuff, never got interviewed. Just got the job. So when I called or somebody went, oh, hey, listen, you want to do this? It's like, yeah. But then when I became the manager or the hitting coach or whatever, then all of a sudden I was being questioned on how I did things, not asked about, what were you thinking there? No, it was like, you're not doing it the way we want you to do it. And this is, one time I got fired because I didn't have a meeting with the team like the colleges do before and after the game out in the outfield or whatever. And I told him, and I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I talk to every player every day. Not in a group. They don't need that. They don't listen to you. We play every day. It's not like college when I'm playing 2 or 3 times a week. Play every day. Usually you're trying to let them learn on their own. But that didn't get through to a lot of people, and it it's instead of using my expertise and my experience and everything, they forgot. I went through all that kind of stuff too. They just remembered me as at the end of my career, I had a good career and I did all this stuff. But I went through all those things that the players are going through, so I know. Well, a lot of times you got to just let them figure it out, because in baseball, nobody could tell you how to do anything. I see the coaching now. I get coached up. It's the football talk. I guess you got to coach them up all the time. It's like, no, you don't. These are grown men. They got to where they were not with getting coached, by learning on their own, so that they could, every situation that came up, they had to get experience at it so they could handle it. A lot of them knew how to handle it from the get-go. Some of them had to learn how to do that. But that would never occur to some of the people that I work for. But
well, Darrell, I want you to hold that thought and think about this. Hold that thought and think about this. You just talked about a very important concept, the whole coached up idea. Now, when I look at, because as myself as a former pitcher, we couldn't really throw strikes until somebody said, okay, I guess we're going to swing at it. Now it's suddenly a strike. But my point is this. If you get up in a pitcher's head and you try to get him to start doing this and start doing that, he's going to get away from what he naturally does. Now, technically, you could fix maybe certain things like release point and whatnot. But from a hitting standpoint, if somebody's going to correct you, think about any hitting slumps that you may or may not have gone through, and all your friends, the greats, the Hank Aaron's, and I'm going to get back to Hank in a minute. But you think about the greats out there, and you say, well, wait a minute. In today's time, it seems like the players don't face enough adversity, especially on the pitcher's mound. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, I agree with that completely, of course. Every former pitcher I've ever talked to, I mean, the 300 innings a year, you would think that they would go to them and go, how did they do that? There's nothing changed, is there? I don't know.
They're still throwing a ball.
No, we can't do that. Wouldn't it be real easy to go to, Ferguson Jenkins or somebody like that, 300 innings a year for I don't know how many years? How did you do that? How did you go about that? It kind of goes back to the physicality of the game now, where we've got, I laughed and just right after I finished playing, and they started bringing in football coaches, and they were pulling sleds and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, what the heck are you doing? So it's like, that's not how you get better. That's not how you win. And you brought up a great point. And so many times, especially when I was coaching, and have somebody that's a high draft pick or somebody, obviously they had to be pretty good to even sign to be a professional player, but then they wanted to change them right away. They didn't watch them and go, because what really happens is the best players, they don't need to be coached. The best players already know. By the time they get, especially the major leagues, they've already gone through and they know what it is. People forget. The best hitters ever, 300 hitter. Hank Aaron was a 300 hitter 7 times. But they never asked him about, what did you go through when you didn't feel good and you were slumping? What was going on? It's all mental.
Right.
It's not physical. It's like by the time you get to that level, AA and above, you already know how to do it. Now, of course, you can get tweaked and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you got to hit your way out of a slump. You got to hit your way out. There's no secret formula and crap.
That's a catchphrase that I don't necessarily agree with.
That's okay.
No, because if you look at, but see, like I said, my experience is when I was in a slump, I was swinging at bad pitches.
Right. Well, what I mean by that,
no, it wasn't like you said. It wasn't. No, you got to hit your way out of something. No, No, those guys up there, they know which guys swing at bad pitches and which guys don't. They're gonna figure you out now, and so it's not like, oh, keep swinging.
Well, no, what I'm saying, generally speaking, Darrell, what I'm saying is technically, when I'm saying hit your way out of a slump, I'm not saying just keep swinging and swinging. I'm saying, look, you're caught in between. At some point, you're gonna have to figure that out.
It's all timing.
Yeah, it's in between.
Let's just go to there. Okay, it's all timing.
Yeah.
Pitching is all timing.
Yep.
Hitting is all timing. And that's why it's so much harder to hit, because the ball's moving. The pitcher doesn't hit. Pitcher, they can, if they repeat themselves over and over, they got a decent chance of throwing the ball where they want to.
Right. And when I say you're in between, when I say you're in between, what I'm referring to is something as simple as, look, you're looking fastball, here comes something off speed. And then when something off speed, you're looking off speed, something is going to come in a little bit farther or a little faster. And so you're basically caught in between. You don't really, you know what you're looking for, but you're guessing wrong almost, if you will.
Well, we didn't guess.
Well, you know that certain pitchers could get it over the plate.
I played with the best players, some of the best hitters of all time.
And certain players could get it. Certain pitchers could get it over the plate. Certain ones, you knew they had to get me over fastball or curveball.
Well, when you're in a slump, it doesn't matter who's pitching. It doesn't matter. It's all about your timing's off.
Right.
And then you start guessing because you're late, you're early, but it's all about timing. It's all about getting ready on time before you need to get ready. Mm-hmm. And I always talk about this all the time. So if you're doing something wrong, don't you exaggerate? You don't just keep doing the same thing. So if you're late, then you got to get ready earlier. We hear this about, get your foot down early, and you're not getting your foot. Well, no kidding, because I'm late.
Right.
I'm not prepared. No kidding.
Right. Darrell, I want you to hold that thought. We're going to commercial break. That's good stuff. We're going to go to break for just a few minutes. I want you to pick up back on that in-between thing and your timing issue, because a lot of people don't seem to understand that one. Back here in a few minutes with Darrell Evans, 414 home runs in Major League Baseball. Played with Hank Aaron, played with all the greats, won a World Series, was an all-star, did it all, and we're going to be back here with him in just a few minutes on The Circus. Don't go anywhere, folks. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which could be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, all of those platforms, plus a whole bunch more. Make sure you check out all of those episodes. I don't know, there's about 2,200 of them out there for the Sports Circus. And go on a listening binge for about 3 months, and you still won't hear every one of our episodes. There's quite a few there. Lots of good ones there. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. And one of those is our very good friend, Tom Dreesen. Folks, Tom opened up for Frank Sinatra for 13 years. Flew on his plane. He was everywhere with him. Tom, one of Frank Sinatra's very, very close friends. Check him out. There's a link over there to Tom Dreesen. He's a comedian. He's a real good one. Been on the show several times. Check him out again at tomdreesen.com and tell him the circus sent you. Tom always gets an astounding round of applause. Just one of those guys. Truly one of those guys. All right, folks, welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. You know who you are. And everybody streaming, everybody also joining us on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Make sure you check that out, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Back here with Darrell Evans, World Series champion, all-star, 20 years as a player, 20 years as a manager, coach, Major League Baseball. This guy has been in baseball for the better part of his life. In the last segment, we're talking about hitters either not getting out of a slump or staying in a slump, and actually the hitters being caught in between, guessing this, guessing that, whatever it was. Let me ask you something, Darrell, getting past all that. Back in the day when you were playing, it seemed like even the crappy hitters were still hitting 240, 250, 260, but catchers were always a little bit lower. Not always, but a lot of them were. Why is it that in today's time, other position players, it's okay to hit 210, 220, and in many cases, under 200? What the hell happened in all these years that it's okay to hit right around the Mendoza line?
Well, I guess it's because we don't have enough talent.
Yeah, that's the simple answer.
Let me put it another way too. Is it okay to have a 4 or 5 ERA now? Yes. It didn't used to be. But what happened before was, and the people that played before me and everybody else, it was like, hey man, we got expansion, so there's more people and more players that aren't as good as the higher echelon guys, and I guess that makes a lot of sense.
But
because remember, when you pick somebody to make it to the major league, whatever they've done in the minor leagues, some of them now they don't get to play enough. They don't get enough ABs. They don't get enough innings pitched. Any of that kind of stuff that they can fall back on when things get a little bit harder, when you start facing better competition, when those pitchers figure out and go, yeah, this guy can throw this guy here every single time, and he never makes an adjustment. And that's a big part of the same thing with the pitchers.
Okay, well, hold that thought, because thinking about if the pitchers are now, their ERAs are on the 4 and 5s, wouldn't it seem reasonable to assume the batting averages would be higher?
it would, wouldn't it?
I'm just saying, right?
How that doesn't make any sense. I've never heard anybody say perfect example, 1968. 1968, the ERA in baseball was under 3, I think.
Yeah.
And remember, they had Bob Gibson and Denny McClain and all. I mean, obviously a lot more of the pitchers were better or whatever. Or the whole leagues, both leagues, Carly Stemsky was the only guy in Major League Baseball. They had 300. He had 301.
Right.
What happened there? I don't know. 67 won like that. 68 was all of a sudden different. And then they decided, then we got expansion. So they put more people in there that probably they weren't as good at pitchers. When you come into the big leagues, you're not a number one pitcher. I mean, you start at the bottom normally. That's the way it used to be.
That's right. You're going to work mop up.
Work your way up there, yeah. So, every once in a while, there's some guy, go fax and give with great pitchers, maybe. But the rest of the guys are trying to work their way to that. So now you're facing more pitchers that probably aren't. And basically, because now it's all about speed and all that kind of stuff doesn't matter. They have all adjusted, obviously. A lot of them have, and the other ones haven't. And it's like, so nobody knows whether the speed was Bob Feller, was Nolan Ryan, and they were all pretty fast, too.
But when did it become okay for pitchers to come into big league baseball with 2 pitches rather than the standard 4? I don't even understand that one.
You don't have to pitch very many innings.
2 pitches?
They've changed the game into going specialization now. Even the number one guys now. Is anybody ever going to win 200 games ever? Is anybody going to win 300? No chance. They got no chance because they're not going to pitch enough. And they can't last.
Well, they sure as hell aren't going to pitch 2 innings.
What the stats are? What's the stats now on how many pitchers in the big leagues have had Tommy John surgery? Yeah. That's something we got to look into. What the hell's going on?
Right. Well, everyone's throwing beyond their means, and right, they're pitching coaches. It's the pitching coaches.
It hasn't worked out that. We got to take workload off their arms. And like I said, so if you go back to Gaylord Perry and Ferguson Jenkins and Nolan Ryan and stuff, do they ever ask them? How did you do this? No, they don't. They have the answers. They have the physical guys, and they'll take care of your arm. We got, it's something. And the pitcher, they tell me, is like they used to throw every day then too. They had a 4-man rotation, so they used to throw, and then they throw BP in between, and they throw long toss and whatever. They're all different.
Yeah, well, back in the day, they constantly threw, and I remember this as a kid. We would throw every day on the playground, and our hoses would be hanging, but we'd still be out there playing, and it kept our arms strong. It didn't deaden them. We weren't trying to throw sliders. We were just trying to throw strikes and pitch to contact, which is what you're supposed to do.
Well, here's another dilemma. So they all throw 100 miles an hour now, but they all got to have 2 or 3 more pitches. Really? Why? If they throw 100, that should get them by anyway. It did for a long time for a lot of pitchers. And so that's a hell of a dilemma, too. But I look back and I go, how come we have so many sore arms? I mean, really bad. How come that happened? When did that come in? I think it's because it's just like the injuries. It's like now they won't let you play through an injury. They're going to put you on out because, I don't know, I guess they think they're going to sue them or whatever the hell it is. But somehow they don't play every game either. How many players, not many players ever played every game. But, you play 150 games, so there's 160 games.
But, Darrell, I'll go back to my training. My training as a pitcher, look, I mean, I had a short career, but my point is this. What we were told, we actually had good pitching coaches, good conditioning people, and pitchers were not supposed to get big and bulky and crap like that. Long, lean muscles. That's what it was all about. And so we worked the 5 parts for our forearm, and we kept our shoulder loose, kept that rotor loose. We didn't do all these crazy things that they're doing now. And I think that they're overworking these kids and trying to turn them into these big, strong guys that throw 100. And look at guys like Greg Maddox. All you have to do is throw in the 80s and you can get people out.
Well, that's not true either.
Come on, man. That's what happened.
We haven't caught on what I'm saying about Maddox.
Yeah.
So you remember, okay, let's talk about Greg Maddox. He had 8 fastballs.
I know. He kept everybody in between.
And what does that translate in? Timing.
Yes, that's right.
He got the pitch, the guys that could hit fastball.
And that's that in-between thing.
He didn't throw it as hard.
He made
it a better pitch.
That's right.
Analyzing and all that kind of stuff.
That's
so
right.
what you're saying about, okay, so, yeah, it's a hell of a dilemma, isn't it? We brought in all these people that are supposed to go, well, we're going to keep him healthy because he's got to do again, start pulling sleds.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of crap.
Right.
So,
yeah, let's get him. Go ahead and pull those big tackling dummies, too.
And it's amazing that pitchers, the good pitchers know, but it's all about timing. They know immediately because of their experience or because they've had whatever, the scouting reports, or they look at this simple stat that goes, oh, is this guy hot now or is he not? I mean, he might be 1 for 10 the last 3 games, but maybe he's hit 8 balls hard.
That's right.
And you don't know until you see him, you know, and he's just bad luck. Or he could be 6 for 10 and not hit 1 ball hard.
That's
like
right.
Ichiro.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, you know, certain guys. So it's all about that. It's all about your own experience. You have to learn and you have to watch and you have to see. I talk to that about all the time when I was a hitting coach, about watching guys warm up in between innings. So when a guy's warming up between innings and now they go, wow, you could only have 5, like, hurry up. And it's like, well, that's probably not good. Like you said, maybe that's not good because if they're not throwing good, they want more time to figure it out. So
that's what they want. Oh, you're right about that. Darrell, hold that thought till the other side because we're on break right now. We're coming up to break right now. I want you to pick up with that, because that's a really important point. Folks, we're going to be back here with Darrell Evans in just a few minutes talking baseball. You need to hear this, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work. and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, those recorded shows, and also check out our partners page. Lots of great partners. We mentioned one in the last segment. And here's another one. It's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't make it there, check them out at alsbeef.com and learn about the Italian beef sandwich, which beats the brakes off of that Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Believe it, folks. Read about it. It's been around for a very long time. Al's Beef's been in business since 1938, and the family actually first put together the very first Italian beef sandwich. All right. Nice round of applause for them and for Darrell Evans joining us once again here on the Sports Circus. In case you don't know who Darrell Evans is, here's a quick rundown. Darrell, why don't you give everybody just a quick rundown of your accomplishments in Major League Baseball? Come on, man.
Well, I think my biggest accomplishment is I played 21 years because you have to, I mean, you know, the thing is people ask me about when I retired, and I go, I never retired. They just wouldn't give me a uniform again. So, you know, the big thing is when you go in, every year's the same. Sometimes you're a little more comfortable because you had a pretty good year or you got a pretty good career going, or you know that you're pretty much in the lineup. But you still got to prove yourself all the time. So, you know, I knew if I hit the ball at the ballpark as good as anybody else or close to as good as anybody else, that I probably had a pretty good chance to play. So that was my goal. That was my goal. That's not what I tried to do every time. But I knew I was capable of doing that. And when I was hot, that was happening more often than the other times. I mean, I'm watching Hank Aaron play. I mean, like I said, he only hit 300. You know, he had 755 home runs. But he drove in more runs than anybody else. He had scored more runs than everybody else because he played 24 years. One thing, too.
Yeah, but he also had 3,400 hits in all those years. The guy had a lot of hits.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, he was better. He was a better hitter than everybody, or, you know, one of them. So that wasn't a realistic goal. And I don't think, you know, Hank never talked about that. It was like he was trying to get a hit every time he got up there. But then after a while, it was like, that wasn't a good enough. It was like, so every time you go to home plate, there's a different role. There's a different thing. Now, who's on, what's the score, what's your job at that time, what are you supposed to do? So it's not, you can't be a robot and you can't keep just doing the same thing all the time and then, you know, hit the ball the other way. You know, I hear that all the time. Oh, what a great hitter, use the whole field. And it's like, well, you know what? The better hitters would have hit a double there or hit the ball to the wall, and this guy settled for hitting the ball the other way. But because you get labeled, because you get told that that's the way it's supposed to be, and that's the way you're supposed to be, but nobody's ever that way. So it's all about learning yourself. It's all about getting good enough where you can make your own adjustment. I tell that to the players all the time. I'm not in the batter's box with you. I can be in there in the batting cage and we can practice and or whatever. But the realistic is it's nothing the same at all. What's the count? Who's pitching? Who's on deck? What's the game situation? You know, when I'm up there in the ninth inning and there's a tie ball game with 2 outs and nobody on, I'm trying to hit a single. But, you know, it doesn't happen as often as you want it to be. But if you don't think about it, or if you're not capable of doing that, then you're not as good as you should be.
Well, you know, the average TV viewer, the average fan, they don't understand the importance of situational baseball and practice. I think practice is sorely underrated, and I just see too many errors out in the field, and I believe situational baseball and practice is paramount, because I always heard people said, well, you know, practice makes perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect.
Of course, but that's almost impossible to simulate.
Well, close enough anyway.
All the ground balls you want before the game and everything, you know, and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, that's basically get loose, and maybe you're working on something where somebody goes, hey, maybe try this, and this might help you, and you know, free up your hands or whatever, and all that kind of stuff. Or there's times when you got to go after the ball no matter what, and then you miss it, and it looks like you're a fool. When it's like, well, yeah, but there was a fast guy running, and it wasn't a slow guy running, so I got to do something different. So all those little things, that's the beauty of baseball. And I don't know, maybe it's the best players are so underrated. It's like everybody's played baseball, everybody's played catch, everybody's been out there, and it looks easy and all that kind of stuff. But then you got to realize you're playing against the best people in the world that do what they do. They aren't just throwing the ball. They're thinking about what they're supposed to do and trying to execute that. And it's that cat and mouse game of if the pitcher threw a perfect pitch every time. But you know what? There's lots of times when where guy hits a ball and the pitcher turns around and goes, how do you hit that? And then and it's like, well, yeah, you threw a perfect pitch, but too bad. I was better than you at that time.
All right, so I'm going to ask you a question. Who is the best player in today's game versus when you played? Who is the best player, and why is that particular person better?
Well, I mean, I got to say Hank Aaron was the best player. I mean, I didn't see Babe Ruth. I mean, who else?
No, I said while you're playing. No, while you're playing. Okay, Henry Aaron.
When I was playing?
Henry Aaron. Wait, when you were playing, it was Henry Aaron. But what about in today?
Right now?
Yeah, today's game.
Right now, I can't. The shortstop for the Rangers, who nobody knows about, he's been pretty good for a long time. Some of the other guys have been good for 3 or 4 years. I don't know. It depends on whether he's in a slump or not.
Slump or not, it doesn't matter.
The guy that's the best player when he's at his best. There's nobody even close to Hank as far as I'm concerned.
No, but who's the best player in today's game, and then how would you compare them to Hammer and Hank?
See enough guys. I don't see him consistently enough. I just, like everybody else, you look at the stats, and then, the guy, Arenado at third base is pretty good. And then, but there's guys that have had great years and then had an off year, and then you decide and go, well, no, he's not any good anymore. No, that's not true at all. So remember, I tell people, we play 6. Let's say we play 6 months. They play longer, a little bit longer. So, you play 6 months, and if you hit, that's 24 weeks. So if you hit 1 home run once a week, you're pretty good. 24 home runs is pretty good, and they're in the era.
Right.
Even now, if you hit 2, like the few times that I hit 40 home runs, I hit 2 a week.
Yeah.
That was the only difference. It was 1 out of, 35, 40 at-bats maybe. In a week you get 30, if you whatever. So it was that one swing that changes everybody's mind, changes the pitcher's mind, puts the fear out there in their mind, which is what I was taught to learn how to do. And the same thing with a pitcher. It's like we expect him, the good ones, Maddox is pitching, we expect him to do. He wasn't he won 60% of his games. He didn't win 100% of his games either. So it's such a fine line. And I think what you're trying to get to is the people that haven't been to the top, how did they know how good these guys are? And I laugh all the time. It's like, let me throw a ball at you at 100 miles an hour from 55 feet away. And they go, oh, how did you even, I can't even see it. Yeah, you're right. But our experience, and we had to get better at it. And then again, if you're just one little bit of timing off, the pitcher has a big advantage. And if the pitcher's not throwing the ball where he wants to, because plate 17 inches wide, when you're hitting good, they only got 1 or 2 inches to get that you're not going to hit the ball hard. They know it, you know it, so that's why some people. I walked 100 times a year because after a while I figured it out, and everybody told me, "Why are you swinging at a pitch you can't hit good?" And I read that, Ted Williams said that, all the great players before. Why would you swing at a pitch you can't hit? Just because it's a strike. Because you've been told in Little League and everything else, if the umpire calls it, it's a strike, you got to put that ball in play.
Right. They always said if it's close, you're going to have to swing. You got to protect.
No, but see, okay, here, let's talk about that. So what are they doing now? They're trying to put in no umpires, right?
Yep.
Okay. So they're telling, so they basically told the umpires now, you're not that good.
That's right, because now you're electronically being replaced.
Supposedly the best umpires in the world. Okay, they just told them, you're not that good. We gotta put something else in there. What a ridiculous joke. And why are they doing this? Because they're trying to shorten the time of the game, or they're trying to be perfect, or whatever. I mean, look at the times look at the instant replays now of before they wouldn't even. I mean, it was like how many times you slide into a base and the ball beats you, and the umpire and they don't tag you, and they ring you up, and they go, well, hey, the ball beat you, so what are we going to do? Well, now we got the replays and go, wow, maybe make sure the guy tags the guy, right?
Right, that's like the neighborhood play at second base back in the day.
Well, of course, it's an honor system, but it's not an honor system at the highest level, but there's no justifiable reason to do it.
Yeah.
Why would you change something that is so good? I mean, what do they do? Is the attendance down? No, I don't think so.
Right?
No. I mean, what an exciting World Series we have. What an exciting playoffs we have. Just like in any sport, we have these exciting things happening, but they're worried about how the guys get there. And one game out of 162. It used to be we only had, the winners go in. Now it's 4, 5, 6 teams, 8 teams.
Yeah.
So, but what changed?
Well,
what changed?
Buddy, you know what changed? Politics. Politics seem to change the damn game, and this is the part that I have a problem with, folks. This is really the part that I have a problem with. I'll tell you what. When all is said and done, all we're trying to do is do what? Watch a baseball game. That's all we're trying to do. And I want to thank the great Darrell Evans for joining us in today's show. Thank you, Darrell, for joining us today. And that's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.